The Washington Capitals are having their struggles lately, but still in the middle of the playoff hunt. Dan Holmi of Locked On Capitals joins us for the first time to talk about Alex Ovechkin and all things Washington Capitals.
It's great to be here.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to the Locked On NHL podcast. Great to be with you, and thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Right now, my pleasure to welcome to the show the new host of Locked On Capitals, Dan Holmi. Dan, welcome.
Great. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Tough time right now for the Capitals, always in Washington these days, big expectations, and yet the team is struggling a little bit. What has been the biggest challenge that they've been facing during this recent inconsistent time?
By far, goaltending. Ilya Samsonov, who is the goaltender, who is supposed to be the franchise goaltender of the team, has not been as advertised. He's struggled all season in net. He's had brief flashes of greatness, but overall, he has not been as advertised.
And then as far as the team defense in front of him is concerned, or any of the goalies, where has that been as of late?
The defense needs some work as well, and that's one of the areas that they're going to have to address before the trade deadline, if not on the trade deadline. If you remember that, if you saw the game against the Flyers, they scored a goal within the first 11 seconds, and then the Caps are trying to come back from a big deficit. That is not how you're going to win hockey games, and that's not how the Capitals play hockey.
As far as the trade deadline is concerned, we're less than a month away now. Is there anyone in particular you think the Capitals will target, or is there a particular position? You assume they're going to be buyers at the deadline. Let's start with that.
Definitely. I think they are going to be buyers, and I think that there's been a lot of tire kicking going on, especially in the goaltender department. They've been trying to go after Marc-Andre Fleury, as you know, who played for the Penguins for many years, but so far has rebuffed them 2 times. But I think there's a guy that's out there that the Capitals would really love to bring back to the district, and that's one Braden Holtby, who helped them win the Stanley Cup in 2018. And I don't know if the Dallas Stars are going to want to part with him, but I think the Capitals would take him back with open arms.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. How about on the blue line? Anybody in particular? What kind of defenseman are they looking to add?
Well, they need some experienced help. They've had some issues with injury, just like every other team out there, and they've had COVID issues out there as well. But I just think that they need to pick up some more veteran defensemen. John Carlson has not been himself all season. Some people are speculating that there's an underlying injury going on there. But then they've kind of peppered in these different rookie players from AHL Hershey, Martin Faravari, who has played pretty well overall, but it just seems like it's not a real cohesive unit as of yet. And I think that if they get everything running on all cylinders, that this team can make a push for the playoffs.
One thing that surprised me looking over the numbers, the power play, 28th in the NHL right now. When you have an Ovechkin and a Backstrom and a Carlson, so many talented offensive players. What has been the problem with the Washington Capitals power play? Because usually they're dynamite with the man advantage.
Again, it's just another thing that it really can't be explained. Backstrom missed a substantial amount of time. And as you know, he is Ovechkin's boy. He is the one that serves up those saucer passes, and Ovechkin just slams it home. Backstrom has just been coming back, and I don't think he's up to 100%. But you're right. This power play unit has not been playing 100% and not playing how they normally play, shall we say. So, but I think that they just need to work together and come up with some big solutions. Maybe Alex Ovechkin, as the captain, needs to pull the players aside and have one of those meetings that they have behind closed doors and really figure out what's going on with this team.
You mentioned Alex Ovechkin, obviously, with the war going on in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine. He had some comments the other day. Your thoughts on those comments, and where does this put Alex Ovechkin in the minds of the American public?
Listen, Alex Ovechkin is from Russia, so obviously he is going to support his home country as anyone should. I don't think that he condones the actions of Russia, but at the same time, that is where he's from. And I think he's having a hard time speaking negatively about it. That is where his wife and his children and the rest of his family is from. If you saw in the press conference, he didn't come out and say what Putin in Russia was doing was wrong. But I think it kind of puts him in a tough spot, being that he is in the limelight in American sports.
Do you think this will have any effect on the cohesiveness of the Washington team as we head into the stretch drive here?
Well, this is a team that has a win now mode. They have that window that's open, and they have that core of Ovechkin, Backstrom, Carlson, Oshie. And let's face it, they're not getting any younger. So if this team is going to figure out they have to do it now, they don't have time to waste to figure out how they're going to do it. I think if they solidify that goaltending, they pick up some depth defensemen and some depth goal scorers forwards. I think they can make a big push for the playoffs, but it just seems as of right now they're kind of in a funk. But like I say, they're kind of a bubble team right now. They're a wild card, so but they need to address this now, and I wish they would take care of it before the trade deadline, because then you're kind of just left with whatever's left and paying top dollar. So.
Yeah, time is obviously of the essence. One player I wanted to ask you about, Tom Wilson, 15 goals through 50 games so far this year. What has been sparking his improved offensive numbers this year?
Listen, around the league, I think that a lot of people view Tom Wilson as a goon. He is a guy. He is not. He's an elite goal scorer. And I think from an outsider, people look at him and they say, he's just this goon out there that's picking fights with everyone. He's got a pretty good touch and he can slam home the puck with the best of him. But I think that he is just trying not to get so distracted with the fights in the corners. I mean, he still mixes it up every once in a while, but they really came down on him hard in the beginning of his career. So I think he's concentrating more on what he's good at, and that's scoring some really great goals.
Dan, why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
So you can find me on Twitter. It's DanCaps218. And otherwise, you can find me on any platform out there. It is the Locked On Washington Capitals podcast. And I look forward to bigger and better things.
Dan, thanks for joining us and welcome to the Locked On NHL family.
Thank you. It's great to be aboard.